Hello. Welcome back to the channel. This video is a little bit different because as we come in and we've just finished with the F1 season, as I'm actually doing this voiceover, it's the Saturday qualifying day of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix in 2024, but this will come out just after. So, I put together a ranking of, of all the tracks on the F1 24 calendar. This will be this will be ranked by watchability, like my general enjoyment of watching it, and how fun it is to actually race in the F1 game, and just general. There might be some places that I like just because of culture, like Silverstone. I obviously have a little bit of bias too because it's my home Grand Prix, and it's just the culture behind it. Same in Monaco, the culture behind it, and stuff like that. Without further ado, let's get into it. E tier is the absolute lowest tier. Everything in this I absolutely hate, and this is shown by Suzuka being in it. I hate Suzuka. If you've watched and been to Gaming's F1 24 two-player career, then you'll see why I hate it. It is horrific. I clip all the curbs. I spin out. This one is purely done by my own racing enjoyment. I hate it. So it is down there. There is nothing else that is even nowhere near there. It is terrible. I hate it. Just it could go away. First track in D tier is Shanghai, China. I have a love hate relationship with turn 1 to 4 because when the light goes out on turn 1, it is beautiful. And when I say beautiful, you can just go around the outside and get so many overtakes all at once. But approach this like turn 1 to 4, any other lap, and it's horrible. Like you spin out, it's very easy to spin out, very easy to go wide. You can do multiple attempts, all right there. But also, it makes up for it with the long straight, which is really nice. I mean, if you have a lower tier car that doesn't have very good aerodynamics, it's not very nice. But generally, I would say that's quite good. The other track in D tier is Mexico. Well, the Mexican Grand Prix it's not even like one specific reason like in China, turn 1 to 4 where it's a little bit bad or something like that. It's just all round, it's just not that great. Like, and also that the first long straight is just the first long straight. When the lights go out, you have so long until the first turn that there's just so many crashes, and you're constantly wheel to wheel with like so many cars all at once. It is very dangerous, which is why I feel like it deserves to be in B tier. Now we move to C tier. This is where the majority of the tracks are. So let's not take too much time and get into it. Singapore is the first track here. I find the long straights just beautiful. Just beautiful. The DRS is so useful here. You'll see how I did this in season 2 of my two-player career mode. Go check that out on the other parts of my YouTube. Cheeky shout out. Although with it being such a tight circuit, it makes very hard to drive. But it's just average, as well as this, it's just average compared to the rest of the tracks. The next track in C tier is Miami. Now, I mostly actually like this, where the main straight is very cool, and it's high speed, you can go flat out, you can absolutely send it down there. So DRS, either if you're in P1, you hate it, if you're in like P2 or P3, you absolutely love it. So I'm kind of like equal on that, because it just depends where you are. But then also, and Sector 1 is very nice, the high speed, left, right, and I just love Sector 1. The high speed corners, and you really need to keep your eye on the ball the whole time. Although Sector 3, in my opinion, lets it down. It's just the straight goes from really fast to suddenly hard brake, and it catches you off guard so easily, as well as the turn just before. I can't remember the turn number, but the turn just before with that straight. It's not actually a straight, it technically has turns in it, but you know what I mean, Sector 2. And due to Sector 2, it means that I cannot put this track any higher than C. Now, the next track in C tier is Vegas. The Las Vegas Strip is beautiful. It's all around got a good vibe with being very simple, which I think it actually helps some tracks, but not this one. Tracks like Austria, I think the simplicity actually helps out, but with here, it can become a little bit boring, a little bit repetitive with driving it. But that's about all I can say. It's just all around okay. That's why it's in C tier. Now, the next track for me, for C tier is Australia. Now, I actually really love this track. I love so much of it. Turn 2, you can just fly around it, like right then left. Like it is, like turn 1 and 2, it's just beautiful. But turn 13 haunts me. It still lives with me. I go to bed and I think about turn 13. If you want context of that, go and watch season 2 Australia qualifying. I was going to get the pole, but I spun out on that one turn every single time, and it just, oh, no. Anyway, Zandvoort is the next track in C tier. I actually don't mind at the banking. I've come to love it. I used to really hate it, but now I actually wish more tracks had it. Although it does mean that the racing line is really hard to keep to, which I don't know if that's just a skill issue, but it personally puts me off a little bit. Just it is a very hard track to drive. It doesn't feel fluent enough for me. Anyway, the next track is Qatar, but this was actually a recent track. Well, that happened. It's 23rd round, I think, in the F1 2024 season. This is where I got my first official maiden Grand Prix here. Technically, I got my maiden Grand Prix in Texas, but the game broke, so it didn't actually count. So it does hold a little bit of love in my heart. But it's the fact that you can go fully flat out, and you go flat out for so long. I know in real life, the Gs are so intense, and the drivers are really struggle with it, and usually it's so hot. But luckily, on sim racing, you don't have to deal with that. So I'm quite happy. I don't have to manage all that. I can just enjoy the track. But there are tracks better, and I understand that. So that's why it's just a C tier. Baku is the next track. It is so iconic with the castle section, but also the castle section is iconic, but kind of is its downfall. Is it's so tight. It's lovely when you take it right, but when do you ever take it right? Just ask big old Charles. He is so stupid going into that wall. But it's just the castle section. Oh my god. Anyway, for the rest of the track, with that main straight is lovely. Being able to go flat out for so long, it is so satisfying. You can get some good overtakes if you're following up on someone with that slipstream and DRS. So it has good and bad areas of being tight, then also a little bit wide up. So that's why it's just comfortably sitting in C tier. Now Spain can be really nice with some overtakes. Go watch Binda's Game in season 2, two-player career mode there, and you understand. I'm pretty sure we got like five overtakes in like 4 corners. It was just it was just swerving in between cars, and that is absolutely lovely. But for actually, the thing is, F1 24 does make the game. They actually make the tracks very realistic in the way of when there's a bump in the track, they actually put it in the game. So the main straight is so bumpy, it's so physically hard to drive. Plus, the corners are quite difficult at times, and there's just nothing too special about it. So that's why I just kind of sit it in C tier. Then the next track I want to talk about is Abu Dhabi, the final Grand Prix. Now that is where quite a few title races come down to, but also that's kind of its only thing that it's got like good for me. I understand that it has importance, it's the final race, but other than that, it's just the fact that it's a night race, and the all-round vibe brings that up here, because I don't actually like the track, but the vibe of racing there, where it's the final race of the season, you really confirm all the championship standings in drivers and constructors, but I don't actually like the layout, so that's why it's here and no higher. The next track on this list in C tier is Hungary. It's just plain okay. Like, I don't really have that much to say for it. Turn 2 haunts me. I hate it. It just it is a bit hard. And turn 11 makes up for it. Like, being able to go nice, so you can go flat out, well, not quite flat out, you lift off a little bit, but you like 7th gear, high revs, go flying around that corner. I like that a lot. I don't know about other people, I personally like that. So, but it's just playing okay. That's what it's only in C tier. Now, the final track in C tier is Bahrain. This, in 2024 season, is actually the first race in the calendar. I think that's subject to change next in 2025 with Australia coming back as the first race, but don't quote me on that. So it's just final one in C tier. I like the straights, some high speed turns, but I dislike the tight low gear corners. They could be very difficult to drive. The overtakes very easy for collisions to happen, and I mean, you might notice on Monaco it's definitely higher there because it hasn't came up yet. So I seem a little bit weird here, saying that I don't like the slow corners, but you know, it's fine. It's just nothing It's a bit like Hungary. It's just okay. It's not too much to say in my opinion. Now on to B tier. We start with Monaco, which I feel maybe a bit of a hot take, but even with it being so tight, which makes it mentally tiring. Like after you do like what is it, 78 laps in Monaco is a full race length. You're tired afterwards from the constant thought. Yeah, it takes so much concentration. But I do really enjoy it, even though it doesn't have any overtakes. So the enjoyability of watching it isn't very good. I think the playability on the track, I personally really like. I enjoy playing it, and the high speed tunnel that just kind of gives you a nice little break from the rest of it, and I think it's perfectly placed. It's perfectly placed. So with all the things and the culture as well, it has so much culture behind it that I just think it would be disrespectful to it to put it any lower than B tier. Any lower than B tier. And the only other track in B tier is Austria, which is very simple, which is a little bit different to Las Vegas, which I said I didn't like because it was simple. This one I actually like because it's the low amount of turns, but all the turns have something great, like the hairpin. It's very easy to mess up, but if you do it nice, it is just so lovely. And also in some high, it has the perfect mix of high speed and low speed corners. It is, in my opinion, it's just up there. It's just so great. It's fun to drive. There's good overtakes. There's always good battling. The sprint, it's one of the only tracks I actually don't mind doing a sprint on because I don't really like sprints, but I'll quite happily do a sprint there. So that's why I feel like it deserves tier B spot. Now we're on to A tier, with only four tracks that I think actually deserve to be here. The first one is the Temple of Speed, Monza. I don't think I need to say a lot about this. Turn 1 and 2 is, even though Turn 1 and 2 aren't high speed, so it don't really get the Temple of Speed, it's quite slow, it's very easy to mess up, you can get some penalties there. I think we can forgive it, because it's a nice break from the rest of the high speed, and the rest of the high speed definitely combats that. And it does hold a place in my heart, as it was my first podium. Even if it was, I personally think I should have gone a race win, but damage came up, stuff broke, stuff like that happens. But it was when we got my first podium, and I just think it's an all-round, well-rounded track where it's not just it's high speed, but it's not just all high speed. They do have some slower speed places, areas. Now we stay in Italy for the second track of A tier for Imola. It's just as well, not quite just as fast, but there's some really high speed turns, really high speed straights, long straight, and the overtakes are absolutely immaculate, which is why I think it deserves the A tier. And Brazil joins these two tracks in A tier with its high speeds and good overtaking opportunities, and the elevation changes coming out for turn 1, dropping down, and then you sort of build back up coming up to the main straight again. I think it's so lovely, and the culture behind it, like, for the Brazilian Grand Prix, I think it deserves A tier every single day of the week. Texas is the final track in A tier, and you can tell it's a mixture of all the other tracks because it is near perfection with its sector 1 being hard but fun at the same time. I don't know how it did that, because you go like you go turn 1, hard left turn, where it's a 180-degree turn, and then a right turn, then a left turn, and you just constantly go left right, and it's so hard. And on the bodies, in actual real life, it's probably so hard on their bodies with the G's, but I absolutely love it. And not just that, turn 16, 17, and 18, I think is beautiful because you can go near enough flat out. You go flat out in 7th gear, high revs, flying around this big right-hander, going into a left-hander afterwards in turn 19. And I just think that it is so fun. I love it. I generally get excited every time I come to that corner. And I just don't have that with any other corner, even in my S-tier tracks. Now in S-tier, these are the best of the best tracks in my opinion. First is Canada, which is, I think, is nearly perfect. I don't think any track is perfect, but I think it's nearly perfect with its long DRS straight into a fast chicane and all its high-speed turns where you could go into a wall at any moment, but that's what makes it fun. The risk of going into the Wall of Champions, coming around that final turn, it's adrenaline. It gives you adrenaline, gets your heart going. It is so much fun. And there are so many other sections, but I ain't going to just like praise that every turn in Canada, because there's no point. I want to get onto the next track. So the next track is Spa. The uphill section is great, and it's trying to overtake there is horrible. It's a horrible idea, but I still try and do it because it's fun. The track length means that every hot lap there is no room for error, because it will literally take, you don't get many laps really. You get less laps because it's like a one sub. It's a lot. I can't remember the exact lap time. It's a long lap time, which means you get less chances. It more each lap wears the tyres more and more and more. So each lap really, really counts. Each turn really, really counts. And I think it really deserves S tier. Silverstone, the British Grand Prix. It's in S tier for many reasons. Mainly, it's my home Grand Prix, as well as its high speed turns, such as turn one. You can go around that in seventh gear, flat out. Then you suddenly slam on the brakes, going into another tight right hander, then a tight left hander. I think turn one is beautiful. Turn two and three just complement turn one even more. Now, then, I think, oh no, that's turn two is a left hander, but it's all like one fluid motion. My bad. To complement this, you get halfway through the lap, well, nearer the end on the end of sector two, then you hit Maggots and Beckett's, and that is just so iconic, so fast, so much fun. Takes a lot of focus because you can very easily spin going at that sort of speed, but it's so much fun to drive and watch. This is one where it's both of them at once, and everyone knows the name. It's like one of the most common names of turns that everyone knows because it's great, and then everyone knows it for a reason, and that is why I think it really deserves S tier. Now, on to the final track of S tier. I know people don't really like Jeddah. It's a little bit of a hot take, but I think it deserves S tier just as much as every other track here on S tier. Because every corner is great, in my opinion. Pretty much every corner. Turn 4 to 10 as a whole, fluid motion. And it's beautiful. I mean, the cursed curb. If you look up on that curb, you're going into a wall. It's just how it goes. But I think that's what makes it fun. Overall, I think that track is beautiful. It's bloody sexy, if you ask me. Especially turn 4 to 10. And then you come into the later sections of the track. Turn 22 to 24. And you come in, and it's just hard left, hard right, then a gentle right, going into a high speed corner, like a long corner. And I just think that is, and every time you near enough kiss the wall, and it actually makes it terrifying and fun to fly around every single time, and it's so much fun to watch because unlike some other type tracks like Monaco, where it may not be so much fun to watch because there's not many overtakes, there's still overtakes here, which is why it's just great, and that is why I think it deserves S tier. Right, now that's all the ranking, but now remember that is my opinion, so no hate, please. And anyone can choose their own rank, and if you want to comment, sure, mate, helps the algorithm. Comment your ranking if you want, but make sure if you like the style of video and you want to see more like this, then like, subscribe, and comment if you want to see more, and I'll consider doing it again. Anyway, have a good one. Peace.